الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله عليه الصلاة والسلام أشهد أن عليا حجة الله صلوات الله عليه وسلم حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على محمد صلوا على محمد وعلى
محمد وآل محمد आवाज़ बुलंद सलवात खुशनुदी इमामी ज़माना अलैहिस्सलाम आवाज़ बुलंद सलवात
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى والذي خلق السماوات والأرض بغير عمد ترونها تبارك وتعالى هو الأول والآخر وإليه المنتهى نحمده ونستعينه ونثني عليه ونؤمن به ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف بريته ومبلغ رسالاته العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المحمود الأحمد أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. My dear brothers and sisters, in this month of Ramadan, the first Jum'ah of the month of Ramadan, I invite all of us and remind all of us to be obedient servants of Allah who uphold His taqwa, inshallah. Just to get things started, because this is a month of zuhd, where we turn away from even the most basic of things, which is food and drink, and our souls are a little softened up to become, as Ayatollah Jawadi says, a little more angel-like. Angels don't eat or drink, correct? And so, as physical beings, material beings, we, although we are in need of food and drink, but when we cut off from them for a little bit, yes, we become more angel-like, they say. And because of that, we're ready to take in certain messages that we might not have been very open to or very ready for in normal circumstances. So I just want to share one of the hadiths of Nahj al-Balagha today in our first khutbah, and then second khutbah we're going to speak about the holy month a little bit more. There is a companion of Imam Ali by the name of Nawf. And he says, رَأَيْتُ أَمِيرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ ذَاتَ لَيْلَةٍ. This is in Nahj al-Balagha. I saw him one night and he had gotten out of his bed. Okay? خَرَجَ مِنْ فِرَاشِهِ. And so, فَنَظَرَ فِي النُّجُومِ. He's looking at the stars. And so, apparently this companion was blessed to be sleeping over with Imam Ali. And so Imam Ali says to him, are you awake or are you asleep? رَاقِدٌ أَنْتَ أَمْ رَامِقٌ. He says, no, I'm awake. Which reminds me, I remember back when we were growing up in the Hawza, sometimes every now and then we would sleep over at a friend's house. Not in the dorms, but we would go to someone's house. Usually you were in the dorms, unless you were married, of course. Then you had your own place. And so, or you were living in Qom, residing in Qom, a resident of Qom, your whole family. So it was interesting because you would go and spend the night sometimes at some people's houses who were senior Hawza students, who were maybe spending the weekend with their parents and then coming back to the Hawza to spend the nights throughout the week in the Hawza. Because when you're studying, even the commute from Hawza to home, even that 20-minute drive maybe, is distracting. So they had a dorm, but they also had their homes that they would go to on the weekend to see their parents. Anyway, I still remember I was staying at one of their homes. He was one of the ones that was a little more spiritual, of course. And so I noticed him wake up in the middle of the night. And so I'm just watching him the whole time, observing as a young kid, I guess, see what he does. And he was known for this kind of stuff. Anyway, sometimes it's a blessing when you are in the right environment to be surrounded by such individuals. Here, Nawf also is spending the night with Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and he notices that Imam Ali is awake. And so he's observing. But then Imam Ali says, are you awake? He says, yeah, I'm awake. So what does Imam Ali want to tell him here? Things that we've already, of course, heard, and these are reminders for us. He says, I'm awake, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. He said, Ya Nawf. Now think about it. Imam Ali first looked at the stars here. This is something that he's thought about, and he's saying it. And the ones who have reflection before they speak to others usually are going to have more of an effect on others versus someone who just regurgitates. And this is the difference between this field of knowledge versus all other fields of knowledge. If you're a computer scientist, for example, if you're a physician, whatever it is, your spiritual life might not have too much to do with your work. But a person like Ali ibn Abi Talib, if he's going to have an effect on others, he himself has to have reflected before speaking and also acted upon that which he's come to. So in this case here, Ali alayhi salam looks to the stars, is thinking, and it's as if he's come to a realization that now he wants to share with Nawf. Well, is it going to be something new? Is it going to be a secret that we've never heard of? He says the same things. But when you say it, and you're the one acting upon it yourself and have reflected on it yourself, it's going to be awqa' fi nafs, as they say in Arabic. It's going to sit on the heart better. And so here, after this little bit of deliberation, Imam Ali, he says, Ya Nawf tuba lizzahidin. Good news to those who are zahid. Okay? Zahid. If you want me to translate that, you already know what zuhd means, of course, but practically what zuhd, the outcome of zuhd will be, is that you're not too attached to this life. It's okay to like it. It's okay to make the most of it, but you're not too attached to it as if it's everything. Zahidin, they could care a little less about what's going on here. When you look at them throughout the day, they're living life like everyone else almost. Zuhd is, I would say, something that has more to do with one's perspective. Anyway, just glad tidings, good news, good for the Zahideen. Zahideen regarding what? Regarding dunya. Fi dunya, ar-raghibina fil akhirah. Those who are more inclined towards the akhirah. Okay, so if we want to understand what zuhd means, the opposite of zuhd in this line is the ones who have more inclination towards akhirah. So zuhd means less inclination, I would say, towards here versus towards there. Okay, is it just perspective? Well, brothers and sisters, when you have a conviction within you, it will bleed out into your actions as well. There will be signs of that as well. You can't just make a claim, but it doesn't show at all anyway in your life, in any way at all. No, that's not how it works. You will see the signs of such an individual who has such a perspective. And so what are the signs? I will read off of it, and then we'll discuss if it's applicable to us today or not. Okay? He says, these are the people who اتخذوا الأرض بساطا. These people are the ones who've taken the earth as their sitting place or resting place or the place where they lay down, their beds as if. This earth. وَتُرَابَهَا فِرَاشًا. And they've taken its soil as their rug. وَمَاءَهَا طِيبًا. They've taken its water as their fragrance. Okay. So let me explain these three before we move on. And what my understanding is. What can we take away from this? The first question is this. These three things are mentioned, correct? Do we find Ahlul Bayt themselves, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, doing something like this or not? Yes, this is the description of someone like Prophet Isa alayhi salam. Okay? But when we look at Rasulullah, for example, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did he not encourage us to actually use fragrance and perfume? He did. Correct? Did the Imams not take care of themselves? They did. So here though it says you take the water as your fragrance. And some say that this is what Prophet Isa used to say, that the water, if I remember correctly, the water of this earth for me is my fragrance. As if, that's how low I'm going to keep myself. Does this mean that from now on we move out of our homes, we sleep on the ground? Is this what it's saying? The Imams themselves never did that. Did they belittle themselves, live a lowly life as if? No. So what Ali alayhi salam is saying here, what can we at least be sure about that he's saying, is that, in my opinion of course, is that, look, this is the perspective that I'm going to have. If I have to live on the ground, I'll live on the ground. If I take the earth as my bed, I'll take it as my bed. This is how much I see the dunya. For me, being in that luxurious, and it's hard to say, I don't want to sound like I act like this myself, no. But it's as if that luxurious bed or home that I have versus this taking earth as my home, or some parts of Nahj al-Balagha, the Imam says, they take the stones and rock as their, Imam Isa would take stone as his pillow. For me, that won't be too different than this. Well, you have to have seen through this dunya to come to such perspective. And that's why we're given a lifetime to work on this, brothers and sisters. You can't expect your 20-year-old son or daughter to understand this but when I'm getting older and older and older, and I see what this dunya is all about, and I see that it's going to end, I have to slowly move in that direction, mentally speaking, in the mind at least, perspective-wise, that look, because it's going to end, whether it's this luxurious room or home or whatever versus that, doesn't make a difference. We're moving on. Like that famous hadith by the Holy Prophet ﷺ, where he says, this dunya for me is like that shade that, you're traveling, you stop there, you rest under the shade, and then you move on, right? Or for us, when we travel as speakers and so on, okay, they'll put us like in a hotel room. They'll put us in someone's home, for example, for a couple days. I'm not going to spend too much time decorating that place because I know I'm moving on, right? So for me, really, I might even get more upset if I have a more luxurious setting to be in. Why? Because I have to give that up after a couple days, And so this perspective at least should be there. Are the Imams telling us we should now like live, forget about the fact that we have families, we have to make a living and all that? Of course not. The fact that, let's from now on put water in the glass and use that as perfume, that's not what he's saying. The Imams themselves would use perfume. The Prophet ﷺ famously used fragrance. Yeah? So I would say that that's the least that we get out of this is such. These are the Zahidina fil dunya and Ar-Raghibina fil akhirah. I've seen these people, brothers and sisters. I've seen these people. And we hear about Prophet Sulaiman and the life he had and how he could care less about that. But then you see people who are not prophets or imams even. You can tell this person, you take away from them what they have, it won't really make much of a difference for them. It's very beautiful. So they took the earth, as their resting place, let's say, where they sit down, where they lie down. They take the dust and soil of this earth as their rug, the water of it as their fragrance. وَالْقُرْآنَ شِعَارًا وَالدُّعَاءَ دِثَارًا. They take the Qur'an. Now here, shi'ar versus dithar, they say. Shi'ar means the undergarment of someone. That which sticks to you. Okay? When you're wearing an undershirt, it's the tighter one that sticks to you, and then you wear something looser on top, correct? They've taken the Qur'an as their shi'ar, and then dua as that outer garment, as their dithar. And so what they've explained is meant here, maybe you can say, is that the core of everything for them is what? Is Qur'an. We'll talk about that in the second khutbah. Everything for them is the Qur'an, the core of them. And then when they actually, if you see them, what do you see of them? What are the words that they're uttering? The words that they're uttering, what they say is usually a dua that is based on the core of their beliefs that come from the Qur'an. So what you see on the inside is Qur'an. What comes out, something that is like a dua that is in accordance with their beliefs that they have in their core. When I recite the Qur'an, then I know what I'm supposed to look forward to, what I'm supposed to ask Allah for, what my dua is supposed to look like. Now here, dua might be a more general sense of the term. Dua, we usually will translate as asking Allah for something. But here, dua can mean anything that you chase and pursue. So when you look at their life, what are they pursuing? What do you see on the outside? What you see on the outside of them is actually stemming from what they have built inside of them, which is based on the Qur'an. ثُمَّ قَرَضُوا الدُّنْيَا قَرْضًا عَلَى مِنْهَاجِ الْمَسِيحِ. I like this last part. What do these people do? What they have done is قَرَضُوا. Now, qard in Arabic sometimes means to lend money, qarz, correct? But it also means something else. Miqrad, if we heard that word in Arabic, miqrad means something that means scissors, miqrad. Something that does qard, which means to cut. And so here it means to cut. What have they done? Qaradu dunya qardan. They have cut this dunya completely off. Once again, they're living in the dunya. You can't run up into some mountain and live in a mountain and say, I've cut off dunya. As a matter of fact, wa alaikum assalam, you might be up in the mountain and be more attached to dunya than someone that's living in Manhattan, let's say. Perspective, brothers and sisters, perspective. Some people have a lot less than others sometimes, but they're more attached to that less than others who are attached to the more that they have. It takes a lifetime. Yes, we're not going to sit here and act like we can pull this off. But if we continue the path of Allah, develop a relationship with the Qur'an, reflect, just remind ourselves of one thing, that it's going to end, things will get better and better, inshallah, to the point where qaradu dunya qardan. They have cut off from dunya. How? Going up living in a mountain? Ala minhaj al-Masih. The same way the Messiah. Now, Masih will be translated to Messiah, but here, well, you know what he's talking about. He's talking about Isa alayhi salam. He says the same way Isa cut off. Well, he was living amongst his disciples. He was living amongst his people. The reason why they think they crucified him is because he was living amongst the people. So then what is it then? Isa himself had taken care of himself. Correct? So here, Ali, I love how in Nahj al-Balagha, again and again you'll find he makes reference to Isa. Not the Isa that you find in the Vatican today. all of the extravagance you find there. No, no, no. Very simple, very simple. And so Isa had cut off, and Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, others will follow in his footsteps, which also reminds us that these prophets who came and went and had different lives, different circumstances they were in, they're all connected to one nur. In the end, the core of them was all the same. What is it? قَرَضُ الدُّنْيَا قَرَضًا. They were able to cut the hands of the dunya off of them, which means that this dunya wasn't manipulating them. This dunya wasn't what they were going to compromise everything for. And let us be like that, inshallah, a little bit. This month is that month in which, as I said in the beginning, we become angel-like. Angels don't eat or drink. And so Ayatollah Jawadi, he says, this is a good opportunity for us to benefit from such teachings, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين أثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا لا إله إلا هو له الأسماء الحسنى والمثل الأعلى تبارك وتعالى ثم أصلي وأسلم على نجيبه وحبيبه وحافظ سره الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل وسلم على علي أمير المؤمنين وعلى فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين وعلى سبطي نبي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. اللهم صل وسلم على أئمة الهدى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف القائم المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. Once again, I remind all of us this month that the Quran says was prescribed for us, the fast in it, for taqwa. Inshallah, we are upholding this taqwa, practicing it, and not being an example of those whose stomachs are empty, whose mouths are dry, but that is all they get out of this fast. Apparently, and very clearly, we're supposed to get more out of this fast than just hunger and thirst. Inshallah, we're supposed to secure our akhirah through the taqwa we gain for the rest of the year. Inshallah. In this second khutbah, I want to also share with you something that I've noticed Ayatollah Jawadi speaking of. He makes a nice point. He talks about how this holy month is the only month, the month of Ramadan is the only month mentioned in the Holy Quran by name. So that's an honor, right? For this holy month, Shahr Ramadan. And so he says, let's see how the Quran, or how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces this month to us. Is it the month of fasting? What is it exactly? Is it Shahr Ramadan alladhi kutiba fihi as-siyam? Is that the verse? Is that what the verse says? Or is it Shahr Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran? Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduce the month of Ramadan to us as the month of fasting, or the month in which the Quran was revealed? And so, if this is the most important month of the calendar, and the way that the Quran introduces this holy month, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces this holy month to show us how great it is, it speaks of the Quran, then you can tell that the Quran is so great. And then that's not all. The greatest night of the year is in this holy month. Correct? The night of Qadr. That is khayrun min alfi shahr. Well, let us see how that night is introduced. So you have the best month introduced with Quran. Then you also have the greatest night of the year, which is in the greatest month of the year. How is that introduced in the Quran? How does Allah say it? In Surah Dukhan, right in the beginning, Hamim wal kitab al mubin إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ إِنَّا كُنَّا مُنذِرِينَ. It doesn't say the night of Qadr, the night in which you will, let's say, determine your fates for the future. Although the next verse speaks a little bit about that. But what does it start off with? It starts with the Quran again. Okay? And so he says, this shows how important this month is, this night is, all of this because of the Quran. And now we can understand how great the Quran is in this month. And so it's no surprise that reciting Quran has so much barakah and so much thawab. But I want to speak about something today. And that is how to approach this Quran. Not how to, we all know how to approach it. But just want to get this a little bit off my chest. You all know how I am. I'm usually complaining when I come up here, right? So we want to talk a little bit about this idea of the different meanings of the Quran. The 7 layers of meaning of the Quran. The batini, irfani, esoteric essence of the Quran. Okay, that's beautiful. No one denies that. And that is something that, you'll usually find people speaking about. If I speak about that stuff more, I'll have more people in the audience. But I want us to talk about this Quran that is so important, that has made this month and this night of Qadr so important. Why is it that we're always looking for something special that others don't know? That's what I want to talk about a little bit. Okay, so is this book for everyone, for the Bedouin, for the person that's living in the city, for the one that's simple-minded, the one who's less smart, the ones who's more smart? Isn't it for everyone? Yes. Is the Jannah that Allah is going to give to each of these people, is it going to be different? Yeah, there'll be different stages of it, but who said that if you're a Bedouin, you're not going to make it to the to the higher stages of this Jannah? It's a question that you always have in mind. This idea of, if you're not able to figure out the 7 layers of meaning of the Quran, then you haven't benefited from this Quran. I don't know, brothers and sisters. Because either we have understood and acted upon the surface meaning of this Quran first. If I have, then I have a trust issue with Allah that He's not going to teach me the rest later. If I have not acted upon that, then who says the next layers of meaning are going to help me anyway? This is very important. Let us let God do His job, and we do our job. We either have a trust issue with Allah if we feel that there's more to the Quran that He's not letting us know about. That even if I was to work on the surface meaning and understand what's going on in this Quran, what the Quran is telling me, that still I might not make it to those deeper meanings. That is a trust issue. While when you sit in the presence of these greats, what do they say? They say, listen, if you act upon what you're supposed to, Allah will teach you that which you don't know. And so here I am, skipping what the Quran is saying and trying to figure some other things out. I still remember when I was a kid, just like everybody else, the Quran's not going to help me. These 600 something pages that Allah has said. It's to figure out the special stuff. I still remember crunching numbers with somebody else that they thought they had figured it out, and putting numbers together and figuring this verse has this many, letters in it, words in it, comparing this to that, coming up with some interesting message that Allah wants to tell us. Habibi. Or for example, let's put the letters of those surahs that start with letters, huruf muqatta'at they call them, like alif lam mim, alif lam ra, ha mim, kaf, ha ya, ain, sad, all of these, and come up with a special message that Allah didn't want to share with everyone, but we're going to figure it out. Wow, 600 pages He had the message out there, and you're trying to figure out another message. This, I feel like this is if I was God, I'd be offended. Let's say it like that. That's why I'm not God. I've sent all of this for you to learn what it's saying, and then here you are trying to figure out some other stuff. Maybe if you were to focus on the priority, I would teach you the other things, but you're not ready for it. You don't understand. Amin, Rastani, you don't understand that if you were to go by what this Quran is telling you at face value, then your capacity would grow so much that I would be able to put more into your container of your existence. The problem is you're out there chasing other things, trying to figure out some special message. Why? Because the normal message of the Quran doesn't work for anybody? No, that's not the case. The problem is me. The problem is not the Quran. And so when we look at the Quran, what we find is that there's so much that it has to tell us. I just want to go through a list here that I just jotted down myself of all the different things the Quran is speaking of, that we can, is more than enough for us to fix our lives, inshallah, to tweak them, to tweak our lives. For example, there's so much history in the Quran. Okay, let us go and learn that at least. Let's learn the Quranic version of history. The Battle of Badr is spoken so much in the Quran. You know? What lessons can I get out of that? There's so much to take away from the Battle of Badr. And then here I am trying to figure out other things. Let me at least, I don't know who Dhul Qarnayn is, but the Quran says a story to us about Dhul Qarnayn, the one with 2 horns. Who is he? It's probably the devil, right? No, it's a righteous person. This ain't Halloween. It's a righteous person. But the Quran refers to him as 2 horns. I don't know what that means. I need to figure that out. All right, first figure out everything that the Quran did say about him and the lessons that the Quran is trying to get to us through this history. Then we'll try to figure it out. And if I don't figure out who it was exactly, some say it was Alexander the Great. Some say, how could you say that? Some say it was this person. Some say it was that person. Difference of opinion. It's okay. Because what I'm supposed to get out of the Quran, I got out of it. Whoever this Dhul Qarnayn was, at least I know he did this, this, and this, and these are the things he said. That much I can get out of the Quran at least. No, but he said something over there. There must be a different message he's trying to get across. Some subtle message. Get the main message, the subtle message will come with it, inshallah. There's history in the Quran. We want to see what the Quran's version of that history is. What picture is the Quran's painting of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is so important. And this is where you need to study the Quran a little bit. Not for something deeper. Just putting the verses together a little bit. And sometimes it'll need the help and guidance of our grand scholars, of course. But what you get out of that is going to be beautiful. The picture that the Quran paints of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The tawheed that it gives us. The purpose of our creation is discussed in there. If you and I are able to identify what the purpose of our creation is in the Quran, a lot of places throughout life, when we run into issues that we're not sure how to solve, we don't know what the answer is for it exactly, so on and so forth. Just understanding what the purpose of our creation is according to the Quran helps us get out of those bottlenecks sometimes we get stuck in. What does it say about the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It's beautiful, what you find in the Quran about the Holy Prophet. Let's study, and for example, Ayatul Jawadi has a whole book on this. The Prophet in the Quran. Very nice. What else? What does it say about angels? What does it say about shaitan? How does he do his work? There's so much about shaitan and how he does. But no, you'll see people sometimes say, yes, this is speaking about shaitan. But the esoteric meaning is this, is that, is your nafs, is your desires, this and that. Okay, we'll get to that. Let me just understand what he's going to do, what he employs against me, and how he tries to fool me. For example, the Quran says, yumannihim. What does yumannihim means? Gives them false hope. Oh yeah, what are some examples of false hope in my life? The fact that I watched a few video clips and I'm like, I want to become a billionaire by the age of 45. Well, that's very hard to accomplish. You're going to spend your whole life on becoming a billionaire. I'm not saying it's bad, and if you do reach that point, come give me a call. But I'll have a little bit something to talk about with you. But it gives you false promises and hopes. Yeah, you can make it, do it. You can get anything done. That's true. But the thing I want to get done first is make sure I take care of my akhirah before I make $1 billion and then leave that for my inheritors when I leave this dunya. Correct? Shaitan does that. Yumannihim. And other examples. This is called, I would call it, reflecting upon the Quran. It says, yumannihim, I sit down with my kids, for example. So what are some examples of false promises that shaitan can give us? Let's talk about them. What do you see around you in this day and age? No, let's talk about the esoteric. I don't know, let's talk about this first, inshallah. In my opinion, my very humble opinion. It speaks about the hereafter. They say about a third of the verses of the Quran are about the hereafter. This is more than enough of a reminder for all of us. We don't need esotericism. I'm not saying we don't. I will speak about these things sometimes too. I will try to discover more and more stuff as well. What I'm trying to say though is this, that all we need to fix our life is what? Just this remembrance of akhirah is enough. even if you have no esotericism whatsoever. Getting to the hereafter. These are also things that the Quran talks about. All those verses in the last juz of the Quran, إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ نُجُومٌ كَدَرَتْ, all of these things that are happening, all of these things are reminders for us. All right, and finally, the mercy of God, charity, fasting, prayer, supplication, tawakkul, self-purification, the heart, night prayer. Night prayer, look what the Quran says. Let me ask us this. Have I mastered the night prayer? That's my question. If I have not mastered the night prayer, I don't even know why I'm going to spend time on anything else, to be honest. If I've taken care of my wajib and haram, I don't know why a person would spend time on anything else when the Quran is stressing so much on the night prayer. Surah As-Sajdah is speaking about those who believe in the signs of Allah. I'm not going to recite the verse because it's a wajib sajda verse, okay? Or do you want me to just to have a little fun? No. It speaks about those people who believe in the signs of Allah. And then it goes on. تَتَجَافَى جُنُوبُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ. This verse is enough for esotericism, in my opinion. These people have reached the point. تَتَجَافَى جُنُوبُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ. Tajafi means a half getting up, half sitting down posture. You know when you're about to get up, right? So you're not sitting down, but you're not standing up completely either. It's like you're ready to get up. You're ready to spring. Correct? تَتَجَافَى جُنُوبُهُمْ, the Quran says, their sides are getting off the ground. These people who have belief in the signs of Allah. Doing what? يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ, calling their Lord خَوْفًا وَطَمَعًا, out of fear and out of looking forward to the blessings of Allah. They're calling Allah because they fear, and at the same time they're looking forward to and longing for those special blessings of Allah. So these people are supposed to be asleep, but they figured things out. They have a Quranic perspective on life to the point where, as Allama Qadi alayhi rahmah says, he says, they asked him, how do you wake up for Salat al-Layl? He says, I have to wake up for Salat al-Layl. I have to wake up for Salat al-Layl. He's figured it out. He knows how important it is. This is a Quranic individual. Have I figured out Salat al-Layl for myself? Now for me, usually I'm talking about the wajib and haram. We still haven't figured that out completely for ourselves sometimes. But if really, I really feel like I'm special, have I mastered this before going into anything else? Well, this is the Quran speaking to us. This one verse is enough. تَتَجَافَى جُنُوبُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ. This is irfan right here. Because once you figure this out, Allah will start putting stuff into your container, so to speak. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. They also give sadaqah. Now some people will take this verse to mean that they wake up for Salat al-Layl and during Salat al-Layl they put aside their sadaqah. Okay, even better. Even better. فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ. This is Quran, by the way. مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ. No one knows of the, what should I say, rewards. قُرَّةِ الْأَعْيُنِ means the glitter of the eye, the apple of the eye. Something when you see it, your eye lights up. That's what it means, okay? قُرَّةِ الْأَعْيُنِ. The Quran says, no nafs, no soul, no person knows the قُرَّةُ الْأَعْيُنِ that we've set aside for these people. What, the ones who got that seventh layer of meaning? If I can accomplish things without getting to the seventh layer of certain meanings, that's fine, I'm good. It's through this, it's through these actions, brothers and sisters. أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. This is a reward for them because of what they were doing. So, to wrap up, brothers and sisters, the importance of this month. How is this month introduced? That the Quran was revealed in it. Wow, so the Quran is great, is huge. Night of Qadr, how is that, the greatness of that introduced? The Quran was revealed. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ. A blessed night. Alright, so the Quran is the most important thing. The fast is going to come along. Because the Quran also tells us about the fast. But it doesn't use it to introduce. All it says is, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ. Hey, one of the wajibat is fasting. Just letting you know. Alright. So if it's the Quran, I want to go to the Quran. But then, when I go to the Quran, everyone's telling me, this Quran, we have to figure out the seventh meaning of every word that's in it. Alright, no problem. But to get to the seventh meaning, I have to go through the first meaning that everyone understands. 600 pages is a lot of pages. I have to pierce through that first meaning to get to the... And let me ask you this, brothers and sisters, and I think you'll agree with me. To go through the first meaning, does it mean just to understand the first meaning? Or to act upon that meaning as well, to act upon it. These are beautiful verses of the Quran. There's so much in the Quran to discover. And then we're thinking about why didn't we make it? Inshallah, Allah gives us tawfiq to make the most of this month of the Quran, which I know the brothers and sisters are usually doing. Inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu as-salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Sadaqallahu al-aliyyul azim. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله وأنه حجة الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربي. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا خفي الألطاف نجنا مما نحذر ونخاف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. وهذا شهر عزمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور، وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه، وهو الشهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان، وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر. فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار، في من تمن عليه وادخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Inshallah, I have a few announcements regarding upcoming programs and events. Just a quick reminder, we've been sending out requests for iftar registration. Although these requests are not mandatory, of course you can be our guests without filling up the forms, but it just helps us in being more careful in the amount and the quantities that we're ordering for niyaz, and it just helps us to better manage every day. So please, it is highly recommended for you to please fill out the forms. A reminder about tonight's program, inshallah, after the program, we will have dua iftatah, and after that, inshallah, we have a Q&A session with Sheikh Amin Rastani tonight here at CFK. And everybody is encouraged to participate. We also have a Dallas Youth Brothers Middle School lock-in tonight at Mizan. This will be after the CFK's program. We also have a Dallas Youth Brothers lock-in for tomorrow night at Mizan, and this will be for brothers, open to all brothers up to the ages of 30. As always, we have information sent out, broadcasted to our WhatsApp groups. It is sent out via our emails, and it is present on our website, cfkdfw.org. We request the community to continue to support CFK, and Jazakallah to all our sustaining members, donors, volunteers, and program sponsors for their contributions, especially in this holy month. If you are not a member, please consider becoming one by contacting our membership director, Brother Asif Patel, for opportunities to donate and sponsor programs or help behind the scenes. Please speak to myself or any of the other volunteers. Let us now please recite a Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of today's Niyaz sponsors, all our marhumin and the marhumin of the Ummah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله وأنه حجة الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كذلك الله ربي. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا. صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. تسبيح فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Inshallah, recite the Ibadat all together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا إله إلا الله إلها واحدا ونحن له مسلمون. لا إله إلا الله ولا نعبد إلا إياه مخلصين له الدين ولو كره المشركون. لا إله إلا الله ربنا ورب آبائنا الأولين لا إله إلا الله وحده 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 أنجز وعدا ونصر عبدا وعز جندا وهزم الأحزاب وحده وله الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت ويميت ويحيي وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا علي بن أبي طالب أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. السلام على 9 المعصومين من ولد الحسين. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء ومعين الضعفاء والفقراء. أيها الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان. الأمان الأمان من فتن الزمان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.